September 10th, 2022, the Georgia Southern Eagles come to Lincoln, Nebraska's Memorial Stadium for a game with our beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers. It's another body bag game, the second body bag game of the 2022 season for Nebraska, the Georgia Southern Eagles. What's going to happen? Who are the Georgia Southern Eagles? I'm John Johnston from Corn Nation, and this is another look at an opponent preview for the 2022 Nebraska football season. Please subscribe to my channel, otherwise I weep at night. The Eagles, they're in the Sun Belt Conference. They went 3-9 in 2021, like another team we know, except that they fired their head coach, Chad Lunsford, after his fourth season. And they hired Clay Helton, who you know from USC. I mean, let's face it, Clay Helton never stood a chance at USC. You know, he just wasn't flashy in any way whatsoever. I mean, Clay Helton. The name sounds like a character you'd kill off in the first chapter of a novel. You know, like a throwaway guy, not even he's the victim of something horrible. Or one of those guys that wore a red suit on Star Trek and beamed down on the planet, and he wouldn't even get the "he's dead, Jim" treatment. He'd probably just whatever. You know, and Jim would turn to Spock and say, "So, what about the offense?" Let's talk about this body bag game thing for a minute. Somebody asked me recently, do I think that the body bag games will continue? In other words, the body bag games being where a FBS team pays a FCS team to come to their home, and so they can beat them up, get a win, so they can get to bowl eligibility, and they can make a lot of money. And really for Nebraska, that last part is the key there, because Nebraska clears about $5 million per home game. And I'm sure all the people that are down in the Haymarket and own those businesses really would like the body bag games to continue, because we're kind of guaranteeing a number of home games, and that's kind of what we're looking for. You could get cynical about the whole Scott Frost bowl game thing, but you know, the FCS has a lot of FCS schools have paid for their athletic departments with these types of games. I don't think it's terrible, but I can tell you years ago when I was in college, we just didn't have C games like this. We didn't have them. I don't think, and we had a discussion in the Slack room for Corn Nation amongst my writers, our conclusion was that the body bag games aren't going to go away anytime soon. And the reason is because they bring a lot of money in for the home team. Nebraska sells, they sell out every game. You can say what you want about the sellout streak being fake or whatever, you cynical bastards. But there's a lot of butts in the seats, and that's a lot of tickets sold, and that's a lot of concessions, and that, again, like I said earlier, a lot of money coming into downtown Lincoln. And I think for those reasons, and Husker Mike, who knows the media rights stuff, pointed out that even if we played, let's say Fox or ESPN or ABC or whoever gets these media contracts pays oodles of money, and they go, "We want you to play more big-time games so we make more money." Well, that only goes so far, because normally you have a home and home if you're playing a Division I opponent. Like, let's say we play Auburn, and Auburn would come to Lincoln, and then we go to Auburn. Okay, well, our media right contract would only get the money for one of those games, so it's not like it's a huge bonanza, and not a lot more pressure there. So that's the bit on body bag games. Let's get back to Georgia Southern, the Georgia Southern Eagles. Okay, the coach that got fired ran the triple option. And the coach that's coming in, Clay Helton, is going to run like a pro-style offense. So the first thing that happened was the top two quarterbacks transferred the hell out of there because they saw the writing on the wall. And what we get is a Buffalo transfer, Buffalo, whom we played last year. Buffalo transfer Kyle Van Treese comes to Lincoln again. And against the Huskers last year, he was 27 of 50 for 224 yards, and he threw an interception to Luke Reimer, which, you know, it's okay if he does that again. I don't think we'll have a lot of problems if he doesn't, but you never know. Connor Cegielski, 22 of 36 passes for 229 yards and 1 int. That is the other guy they have at quarterback. And then they have some freshmen, David Dallas, Zach Rosman, and a transfer from Troy, Kyle Toole. Running backs, you've got senior J.D. King. He only played 4 games last season because of an ACL injury. He has started 16 games over the course of his career and racked up 1,541 yards. So experience, that's what we're looking at there. You have sophomore Gerald Green, 973 yards in his career. Not bad for a sophomore, I guess. Jalen White, 363 yards last season. And Amari Jones at 363 yards rushing and 25 yards passing, receiving for 351 yards. So kind of a dual threat guy. But let's go on to the receivers. Most of the production returns. Georgia Southern brings in a transfer from Houston, Jeremy Singleton. Singleton had 29 receptions for 493 yards and 5 touchdowns. And he probably is going to be a big part of their offense this season. He started 30 games over his career. Again, experience. They've got junior Caleb Hood, 41 passes for almost 500 yards. And sophomore Derwin Burgess, 17 receptions for 311 yards. So you got a quarterback, the guy from Buffalo, and you've got some experience at running back, and you've got pretty much all of your receiving core back, including a very experienced guy coming in from Houston. So, but you do have a first year, you have a first year coach and you have a first year offense, and it's going to be like, hey, let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska with that big ass crowd they got up there and see what happens. And what about the offensive line? We haven't talked about them yet. 4 starters return, including guard Khalil Crowder, who was a third-team All-Sun Belt selection last season. So, decent-looking offense in terms of experience. Not experience running this offense. So, wow. What about their defense? Well, their defense wasn't very good last season. They went 3-9. You know what they didn't do? They didn't lose all their games by 1 score apiece. Some of them they lost by many scores. So their defense wasn't very good last season. They only have 5 starters returning. They have on their defensive line, they have 2 senior defensive ends coming back, Dylan Springer and Justin Ellis. Justin Ellis was honorable mentioned Sun Belt last season. Defensive secondary, they have senior cornerback Derek Canteen, who was an FWAA, the Football Writers Association of America, freshman All-American in 2020, but he missed most of last season with an injury. But that's pretty good. You know what? That's a good corner. Sophomore safety Anthony Wilson was their leading tackler on defense with 78 tackles. He'll return this year. He was third-team All-Sun Belt. You have safety Justin Birdsong and Tyrell Davis to round that out. And then an Elon transfer at cornerback, Mari Wingard. I have probably I don't think I butchered as many names as I normally do, so that's not bad. What's this all add up to? This adds up to take your kids to this game. Sell your tickets to make money off of them, maybe. They're 3-9 last season. They got a brand new coach. They don't have much of a defense. I didn't even mention their linebackers. That's because all their linebackers are gone from last season. All of them. So this looks like one of those games that if we have our poop together, which it's the 3rd game of the season, and right before we go to meet our wonderful rival, Oklahoma Sooners, or past rival Oklahoma Sooners, or I don't know how you put that. I'll leave that up to you in the comments section. But this one, it just honestly, it spells brutal. It spells Heinrich Harburg in the 3rd quarter. Unless Scott Frost is going to do what he's done in the past, which is play one quarterback for the rest of his life and the other guys never see the field. But it is a good game in which, you kind of want to see other guys get on the field. Remember in the old days when we'd play a game and we'd be up 40 points and they put in everybody else to get them on the field experience. Remember those days? And then they had experience when they moved ahead. This is one of those games. It should be. Could Georgia Southern come into Nebraska and pull off an upset? No. I'm cynical. I'm pretty cynical. And you all know that, how cynical I am about Scott Frost. And even that cynical, not unless we're all, I don't know, I'll have the flu, I'll have dysentery from bad food we ate the night before. I don't know. There's not any way that Nebraska loses this game. And now I've doomed us. I wanted to do this video outside because it's beautiful outside. You never learn how loud birds are until you actually go out there. And then my neighbor next door is running a concrete saw. And then there's a guy over there that has to mow his lawn every freaking 2 days. I haven't mowed my lawn for at least a week and a half or 2 weeks. Such is the life in the suburbs, first world problems. Leave me comments. I know that this isn't a game that you're all freaked out about or excited about particularly, other than it's a good get-together for Nebraska. But leave me some comments, subscribe, because I'd like to have more subscriptions, and that'd be nice. Take care of yourselves. Go Big Red.